important is it for aspiring authors and newly released authors? How important is it for them to perfect their craft? Talk about that.
Oh, I mean, you absolutely have to. It's so many things vying for readers' attention, from the internet, from television, from other books. You have to come to the table with a quality product. That means your Aunt Pookie, who got a B in English, cannot edit your book. That means I know your son got an A in art and he can draw pretty good, but he cannot do the cover. Unless he's like J.L. Woodson and Fabulous. But you really have to have a professional product, and all too often you see someone came and approached me, and I cringed inside because she handed me her book and said, I want you to take a look at my book. Excuse all the errors in it. I didn't have money for an editor, and I know the cover has a misspelling on the front, but just excuse that. And all I can think, if you don't care enough to invest in yourself, how can you expect a reader then to invest their money in your product?
Now, lots of people talk about, I want to write this book. But when it comes to putting pen to paper, that's of course of a whole nother color. Talk to us about some of the elements and some of the discipline that goes into actually making this dream a reality.
You know, writing is about the discipline of writing. It's about sitting down and actually making it, the words come out of your head, onto the computer screen, onto your laptop, if you write longhand. It's about the discipline of writing. And for me, I was like so many people out here, I talked about writing a book long before I actually wrote this book. And I finally said, I am going to write this book. I had to set goals, and I set small goals. I said, I'm going to do 3 pages a day, 5 days a week, no matter what. Well, those 3 pages, once I committed to that, those 3 pages turned to 30. And before I knew it, I was done. But, Les Brown has a great quote. You don't have to be great to get started, but you have to get started to be great. And a lot of people don't realize that. And you have to know that life will always be there. Life will get in the way. Because you'll sit down and you'll say, okay, I can't think right now. Let me go wash these dishes. Let me go wash these clothes. Excuses are always there. And so you have to have a discipline. Set a time. If you work full time, get up before you go to work. If you're like me and can steal a moment at work, when I was working full time, I would write on my breaks, or I'd write during long, boring court cases that I was covering. I'm always utilizing those spare moments.
Right, that's very important. You do have to set time limits for yourself and create the discipline and the environment in order to complete this task and the journey that you have now embarked upon. Now, just because I want to write a book, and just because I actually get it published, does that mean that it should be commercially thought of? Meaning, do I need to sell my book to everybody?
I would never be a dream killer, but we have to be realistic. A lot of people come up to me and they'll say, well, I'm writing a book and it's about my life, and I grew up in the ghetto and I made it out. Unfortunately, so did a lot of other people. So you have to, and I'm just being real here, you have to have something that makes you stand out, or you have to find another way to package your story. So unless you were dropped off on the freeway by the McCormick Center and raised by wolves, and then you made it out in spite of, and then your story to the average person outside of your immediate circle has to be packaged right, or unless you have a platform. You can create a platform, and then that gives you the opportunity. But unfortunately, if just writing about your life, I do a lot of ghostwriting, and I just did a ghostwriting project, and I just felt so bad for this woman because her story was just a plain, average, boring story. I mean, it'd be like my life. I was just a plain, average, boring life, but she was convinced the world needed to hear her story. And I tried to get her to see, we need to package this differently, because outside of your mom and your cousin, nobody really cares about your story unless you make it impactful. And that's the reality of this business. And sometimes
you got to be a good liar.
But it's just that's it. You have to be a good liar.
You do.
And sometimes the book that you publish, maybe it should just be in the archives of your family as family history, so that your family members can look back on it. They may appreciate what it is that you've written because they can truly relate to it. But as you said, depending on what the story is, everyone is not going to be intrigued by that.
How do you handle
The negative feedback when it comes to your writing? Because like I was telling the ladies who came here for the elevator pitch contest, everyone is not going to be in love with ReShonda Tate Billingsley. So how do you handle that?
You know, it took me a while to get to this. Let the Church Say Amen, which was my second book. It was my most popular book, but it was also the book that I got the most hate mail for. I spent so many hours in front of my computer shedding tears while reading reviews of Let the Church Say Amen. And not reviews of the book itself, but of people that told me, oh, she gonna rot in hell. I got those emails. I got one lady sent me a scathing email and posted a review that the book was garbage and she uses it to hold up her coffee table on one of the legs that is broken. And the reason, because I can take constructive criticism. I love constructive criticism. But she didn't like it because my character wasn't delivered from homosexuality. And I wanted to tell her, write your own book and deliver. But in this book, he not delivered. And so it took me a while to stop focusing on, out of 100 reviews, I got 5 negatives. And I would zero in on those 5. And my husband used to say, just quit reading those. At least you got their $15. Don't worry about it. But I took those 5 to heart instead of looking at the other 95 lives that I was touching. The other 95 that could relate to what I write. Because I write reality. And in the real world, the crackheads I know don't say, well, pass the pipe, gosh darn it. You know, and so I'm writing real stuff. I'm writing about people like my grandmother who would swear she was Jesus' personal assistant, but she would cuss you out and slap you in your mouth. Those are the kind of stories that I tell. And I had to get to a place where I realized that I'm writing me, and I had to be comfortable with me and know that I'm touched. There's some other sinners out there like me that can relate to what I'm writing. I had a friend that wrote a book, she wrote a Christian fiction book, and they walked in and she caught her husband in bed with her sister, and she said, let's all get down and pray. And I said, I can't write that, because in my book, we gotta pray somebody don't die right there. And so I have to write stuff that is real to me. Those are the type of stories, and I've, over the years, learned to stay true to myself and be okay with it.
Thank you for that honesty. Talk to us about how the publishing industry has changed from when you started writing your first book to today.
It has changed drastically. Borders closing really hurt the book industry. Borders used to buy 30% of my books. When Borders closed, those 30% just went away. The ebooks, the surge in ebooks, the industry as a whole has been affected. In fact, I'm with Simon & Schuster, one of the big 6 publishers. I'm with a division called Gallery Books. I am the last African-American author standing. All of the other African-American authors at Gallery Books are gone. And it's not because I'm more talented than anybody. I'm just an ordinary girl. It's the industry has changed so, and I just happen to be the last one standing. And so it's like that at several other divisions. You'll see some of your most favorite authors no longer have book deals. You'll see aspiring authors who can't get book deals. And it's because the industry has changed. People have stopped buying books as much. They do buy digital. The publishers don't make as much money on ebooks. And so if they don't make as much money, then that trickle down affects the authors. There's another thing that hurts us in the African American community that a lot of people don't realize. We are a tribal community. We love sharing stuff. I had a person come up to me and say, you are my favorite author. I bought your book and I passed it to 32 of my friends. And I was looking at her like I paid $1. And so the publisher is sitting there in New York going, okay, everybody talking about this book, but this bottom line says she made $1. And so people don't realize that when you pass a word and not the book, we understand that in finances, we want you to read, we want everybody to read, but that's what ends up affecting, and it has a trickle-down effect. So it has changed drastically. The black bookstores are gone. It's just hard for an author to break in. And that's part of the reason why myself and another author, Victoria Christopher Murray, created a company called Brown Girls Books for that very reason.
Right. And I was going to ask you, based on what you just said, it's a little kind of a downer to a person who's trying to get out there into the industry. what is the good news for new writers, and then give us a little more information about Brown Girl Publishing.
The bad news about the industry is that it's saturated. Everybody can write a book. The good news is that everybody can write a book. The problem that makes it negative is that because everybody can write a book, everybody does, and they don't pay attention to the craft. They don't take it seriously. They just throw something together, and then readers become discerning. Readers are like, okay, I don't know if I want to mess with this book, mess with books, because there's so much to go through, so much to sift through trying to find the gems. And so one of the things that we tried to do at Brown Girls Books, we decided to give a voice to fan favorites and then fresh voices. We search for fresh voices, fresh new authors, to give them the opportunity to have their voices heard. The problem is we started this company in 2014. It was just myself and Victoria. We had a very small staff. We had no idea that it would take off like it did, and we still both write full time. Within 2 months, we had over 400 submissions. That tells you how many authors are out there trying to get book deals. And so we had to step back and reevaluate, bring on a fabulous support system to help us out, expand. But now we have over 34 authors on our roster. Nice. One of our titles was nominated for an NAACP Image Award in our first year. Very excited about it. We just secured a movie deal where we have 10 of our books that will be going to film. And so we have a distribution deal with one of the top companies that only works with the Simon & Schusters and the Random House. And they have taken us on, and we're one of their top publishers that they work with. So we're very proud of Brown Girls Books and all that we've been able to do and give the opportunity. So much so that we've expanded. We have a division called Brown Girls Teens, Brown Girls Kids. These are books written by kids for kids. My daughter is one of the authors, 12-year-old, and she wrote a book with a 10-year-old and an 11-year-old called The Perfect Summer and The Perfect Present. She has 2 books. We have some teenagers out of Atlanta. And then we have another division called Brown Girls Faith, they are currently accepting submissions. And then Jacqueline Thomas Presents. So we're expanding, we're growing. We had to work out some of the kinks because some of the stuff we get, the submissions that we get, including one that told me that I would be a damn fool if I didn't publish him, his exact words across the top of it. So, that just went right on in the trash. But yeah, so we get some of those, we get a little bit of everything. And we're just excited about where we're going, where we're headed.
Wonderful. And I'm excited that you're going to have a new author by the name of D.A. Rhodes on Brown Girl Publishing. I'm speaking it into existence.
She is claiming it. She is claiming it. And I'm also claiming one. When she said the elevator pitch, you never know who's in the room. Like I said, we have 34 authors. We have 22 books slated to come out in the next year. And then at the end of that next year, I want to make sure that we add Radio Saved My Life. Where's Sundance? We need to talk. And of course, D.A. Rhodes as well.
Exactly.
And the Lady Kai is one of our authors, Open Door Marriage. Fabulous, fabulous book.
So let's talk about What's Done in the Dark, your latest book. This book is scandalous, if nothing else. It's tragic to me. However, the way that you've written this book, I didn't feel tragic. I didn't feel tragedy. It wasn't until the end that it came to my mind, this really is a tragic story. But it was funny. It's uplifting even at some point in the book. And you're talking about 2 best friends, Felice and Paula. And they are unhappy in their marriage, both of them. And they go on this journey that will just knock your socks off. First of all, let me ask, how many people in the room have read the book already? Okay.
Oh, well then the bookseller gonna sell out, right?
Yeah. What's Done in the Dark?
Our new book.
The latest book, What's Done in the Dark. Okay, so we're not going to give away the story, but this story is going to knock your socks off. ReShonda, talk to us about this book.
Well, and so I do tell this part because this is the essence of it. And I come up with my stories. I'm a what if person, and I'm on social media a lot. And so I posed a question one time: what if you have a one-night stand with your best friend's husband, and he dies? Do you get your stuff and leave, or do you stay and call for help?
Wait, back it up. If he dies in your arms,
In the hotel
in a
room.
hotel room,
Well, I can tell you how he died, but he dies in the hotel room. And so I was amazed because I'm a pretty good, upstanding citizen, and I like to think that if something like that were to ever happen, and I wouldn't be in the bed in the hotel room, but if something like that ever happened, I like to say that I'm going to call for help.
Okay.
And then I told my husband about it, and he said, so if you had this happen with your best friend, my best friend is a little crazy, he said, you will go home and tell her. And I thought about it, I said, well, you know what, maybe not. And so as I got out, I started talking to women. I expected people to say, oh no, I'm calling for help. Everywhere I went, people were like, I'm out of there. I ain't telling nobody for Jesus.
and that's a real dilemma.
If you're doing something you don't have any business doing, do you stay and face the consequences? Or do you just go home and help her plan the funeral? All these saved women are like, I'm gone.
Oh, ReShonda, that's based on fear. And fear seems to drive both of these lead characters in the book. How does fear serve as a positive and a negative throughout this story?
Well, one of the things that I do as a writer, I present this overall, this umbrella topic, but there are so many layers to what I write. You automatically hear this woman has an affair with her best friend's husband, and you expect to hate this person, dislike this character. But my job as a writer is to make you sympathize, empathize, to understand what motivates a person. There is nobody that is all good, and there's nobody that is all bad. And so as a writer, I make those layers. And part of what drives us, what makes us do dumb things, is that fear. And so I have her make a decision based on fear, but then you unravel the layers to understand why she does what she does. I also like to kind of weave a message through there, because you have these two couples, and my grandmother used to always say, while you over here looking in this grass, somebody could be over here watering your lawn.
Yes.
And so those type of messages I kind of weave throughout the book. And I use a lot of humor in everything that I write. So she's saying tragic, but you'll laugh one page and then you'll cry the next, and I like to go back and forth.
Yeah, because as I was flipping the pages, on one page I'm like, you know what, this chick is something else. I don't even want to read anything else about her. But then the next page, I began to feel for her, and I did put myself in that situation. The one good thing that I did like about this book, and I think all of you out there, especially those of you who are married, it will force you to, or cause you to look at your relationship in a whole nother light. And it will also cause you to be careful about the things that you put out into the universe, because as a result, these tragedies began to happen. So you really need to read the book to find out. What role does religion play in this book?
Well, I am, as with all my books, a lot of people will classify me as a Christian fiction writer. I'm not a Christian fiction writer. I'm a Christian who writes fiction. I've kind of ran away from the title of Christian fiction writer because, I've called it from holy rollers, as I call them, because they judge me and my salvation based on what I write. Because I'll write about the person that goes to the club on Saturday night and then gets up and goes to church on Sunday morning.
Yeah.
And so, a lot of us can relate to that. Do we two-stepping one night and then we at church praising the next morning? Two-stepping again. And so, that's the type of person that I am. And those are the kind of stories that I tell. And so my religion will always be woven throughout my stories in the terms of it's faith-based. But, I again write reality. So there will be elements of real life strewn throughout my stories.
And what's the moral of this particular story?
For this one, it is how one bad decision can alter the course of your life and the life of everyone you love. And so that's why sometimes when we are preparing to make a bad decision, you have to take a step back and think about all the consequences, because so often we just react. We just act act on impulse. We act without thinking long term and thinking of consequences. And that's what I hope that a reader walks away with in What's Done in the Dark.
Exactly. Well, I encourage you to get this book today, What's Done in the Dark. Talk to us briefly about Mama's Boy, which will be coming out in July. And I do believe we have early releases of that book here today.
Yes, Mama's Boy releases July 7th, but we did manage to get advanced copies just for the author's brunch. Very excited about that. But Mama's Boy, the title is a little deceptive. Mama's Boy is about a mother whose son, they live in Jasper, Texas. Her black teenage son is filming the arrest of his best friend, and a white police officer comes and orders him to stop. They get into an altercation, and the white police officer ends up dead. So the 16-year-old is on the run. As a mother, what do you do in Jasper, Texas, a town ripe with racial tension? Do you turn your son into police? You are a law-abiding Christian woman who believes everything there is to believe about faith and salvation in God. But do you walk down to the Jasper Police Department and say, here is my son, I'm turning him in? Or do you help him run? And that's what Mama's Boy is about, that dilemma. And then of course I have to throw in some secrets and how all of that ends up affecting, and a little bit of humor. I throw it all in there.
Exactly. So, what's next for ReShonda Tate Billingsley?
Well, TV One has bought the rights to 2 of my books, The Devil is a Lie and The Secret She Kept. They will be out next year in 2016. I'm very blessed. I penned the screenplay for The Secret She Kept. So I wrote the screenplay, and I will also have some roles in it. See, I'm going to try and I got 6 lines and let the church say, man, I'm shooting for 12 in The Secret She Kept, and I'm going to try to get 36 in The Devil is a Lie. But both of those books are 2 of my favorite books. The Devil is a Lie is about a woman that wins the lottery, and when she goes to claim her winnings, her ex-husband shows up with the woman he left her for and informs her that the divorce was never finalized, that they won't have. And that's called The Devil is a Lie. That's why, because I knew they all like, oh, the devil is a lie. So that movie will be out in 2016, as well as The Secret She Kept is a book that's near and dear to my heart. The Secret She Kept is about a woman that meets and marries the man of her dreams, but she forgets or fails to tell him that she has severe bipolar disorder. And so the book, and I have this, but I do have a lot of humor in the book. And let me tell you real quick why this book is so special to me. I have mental illness in my family. I have a lot of relatives with mental illness, and like my family, I know, like my many African American families, we brush it under the rug. We say, "Oh, that's crazy, cousin June." And I was actually doing a live report on television in Houston one day. Downtown, they were clearing out the area of homeless people to build a stadium, the Toyota Center. And I was doing a live report, and this man came behind me in the newscast and was pushing a button. A shopping cart, and he stopped, and I'm saying, you know, as you can see, they're clearing it out, and he stopped, and he came into my camera shot on TV and said, "ReShonda!" So I'm still trying to maintain my professional demeanor, and I said, well, obviously, you know, they have some televisions down here because he knows who I am, and he rolled right up on the side of me and said, "Girl, how ain't Nancy doing?" That it was my cousin June. And when I talked to my mom about him, she's like, "Oh, he's been living down there about 15 years. And I said, "So we ain't gonna help him? Ain't nobody gonna do nothing? We're just gonna leave him down there?" And so that's why I wanted to write The Secret She Kept, to deal with that issue and how families deal with it. Yes, his name is June Bug. I was trying to be city-minded and just say June. So you got a cousin, so you feel.
So this is what I was talking about earlier, when it's important for us to open up and tell our own family secrets. ReShonda is living proof of that. ReShonda, I want to say thank you again for joining us for the 3rd annual Authors Brunch. Last year we had a fabulous time. time with Kimberly Lawson Rhodes.
Oh my gosh.
This year, we have laughed and laughed and laughed and learned so much from you. Thank you.
It's my pleasure, and I do want to tell you, because a lot of writers talk about using that inspiration from around where they get their inspiration from. There's a joke in my family, don't say anything around ReShonda unless you want to see it in a book, because I'm at the family reunion, laptop open, and I'm taking notes. I constantly am getting inspiration. I come from a big extended family. My uncle, who's the matriarch, provides me with a lot of inspiration. I was at a funeral recently, and he stood up and said that his brother's death, it was my other uncle that died, he said his brother's death made him realize that he needed to do right by his 8 kids. The problem was we only knew about 4. Including his wife, who sat on the front row. And he said, oh baby, I'll talk to you about those other kids when we get home. So my sister looked at me, I looked at her, she said, you gonna put that in the book? I said, you know I am. And so I'm constantly using stuff from my family and friends. There's a joke, I tell people I will change the names to protect the guilty. There was a video we watched one day with a friend of mine. We watched we gathered after the wedding. We thought we were about to watch the wedding video. It turns out it was the bachelor party video, and the new groom had gone to the airport to drop somebody off. So we are watching this video. My friend, the bride, is on the floor. She's in tears because he was with some ladies of the evening, some strippers. It was just buck wild. His mother over here clutching her pearls. Her mother over there about to pass out. And I'm in the back of the room going, I cannot wait to get home. I can write this down. And I did. And so far, I have not had any issues with using my family and friends in my books. Except there is one book I know I've been changed. I have a character, her name is Shondella. She is very, very ghetto and country. Her kids, she named her kids after her favorite cars, Toyota, Camry, Mercedes. And so my husband read the book and he was mortified. He said, why would you name this character after my sisters? And I just didn't think about it. It just did not register the whole time I was writing. He has 2 sisters, and I would never have used their names because they already don't like me. So I would not have used their names. Their names are Sean and Della. And I named this character Shondella. And one of the sisters is very, very ghetto. One of them very, very country. She has kids. We still can't pronounce their names, and they grown. And I said, oh my God, it is about to be some major drama in the Billingsley family. But luckily, when they read it, like I said, they ghetto and country, so they were like, oh, I'm in a book. I'm in a book. So all was well.
Okay.
Let the church say amen.
Let the church say amen.
Yes, say amen again.
ReShonda Tate Billingsley, you are the bomb diggity. Thank you. Thank you.
I really enjoyed this author's brunch. I'm very, very proud of my mom for putting it on. Kudos to you. Can't wait to attend next year.
I enjoyed the event. I had a pretty good time. Like hearing everybody speak. My sister D.A. Rhodes did a fantastic job. It was just a nice overall event. I had a great time.
Your best friend from KY, just letting you know it was awesome. I love you, my anointed sister, and you keep on keeping on. This is gonna go national, if not